Hey, yo, Outliers, Niiamah Ashong here, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey. The We're going to be focusing here today on a number of things around what will help you as a leader who is shaping the next era of humanity to bring out more of what makes you different to make your difference. That's what we focus on every time we come here, and it's been an incredible journey of really seeing people bring in the disparate parts of themselves and integrate it into something that is both unique, decommoditized, and adds just it adds a lot of value, but it also uplifts our world. And I get a chance to spend some time with an incredible outlier who's doing just that right now. Today, we get to have Joshua Smith on the podcast with us. Joshua, it is an absolute pleasure to be back in space with you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so well, and just you starting out with that is just a bundle of fresh air to me. So thanks for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. And if you're good with it, I'd like to share a bit about like who you've been to me so far, like the impact that you've had on me. You good with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And we've only had a few conversations, so I'm actually kind of excited to hear what you have to say.
yeah. So am I. It's so funny. I say this on like every episode, but I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. I just know that it grounds me, and I also think it also helps to say like this is the awesome person I'm talking to. Like let's not forget that, regardless of everything else that's going on. And so, that's what like the thing that comes for me when I have to actually take you in real quick. Yeah, the thing that comes from me right now is oh, why? The word, it's almost like glazed. It's like glazed excitement, right? And the glazed part for me is like the smoothness of it, right? Like every time we talk, I feel like our conversations have been really easy. You come in with a place of just like optimism, but and juxtaposed with like a practicality to it, right? So like we got to talk about some things, like the things that you're working on, the way that you choose to go and get things done. There's an undertone of just positivity to it, right? But you're not lost in it at all, right? It is practical and at the same time just like positive. And I really get that sense from you. I get excited to see how we bring that all together in various ways in this conversation and how we build on it, or perhaps we leave it right where it was, and I get to see a completely like another part of who you are. But I want to thank you for how you've been showing up for me already, and I'm excited to get you in front of outliers for them to experience you as well.
That is really nice of you to say. And practicality and positivity are two words that were not in my vocabulary at least 4 years ago. So I'm excited to talk about where this leads.
Yeah. Oh, then now I'm like, oh, I wonder what the two words that aren't in your vocabulary now will be like 4 years from now. So like let's play. Let's make sure we keep our journey going. Well, Joshua, I shared a bit about who you've been to me thus far, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to let outliers know more about you. Don't hold back because throughout our conversation, we're going to be diving into you, your story, and and how you navigate life. And I think that this is really important for us to get a chance to see like, hey, this is how you show up in the world. This is what's going on. And underneath all that, you are a human that has to also navigate your own processes. So can you share with us a bit about you personally, professionally, and most importantly, maybe I'll say purposefully, in terms of like what your mission is and such right now.
Absolutely, Namaya. Thanks so much for again allowing me to be able to share this with your audience because I think one thing that we even had talked about before is the fact that in life there are really a lot of different things that you can navigate through to get to where you need to be. But for me, I feel that the journey has been a series of waves. There's been a wave of positivity, and then a wave of negativity, and then a wave of positivity, and it's always been that way. But I digress because I want to share, like you mentioned to me, a little bit about myself. So I have been a civil servant of state government. I live in Pennsylvania. I've been doing that for a little over 14 years now. A variety of different things I've been able to do, which have included being able to work with the blind. I have done budgeting. I've done procurement. I have done legal compliance with records requests. I have done data analysis. Anything you could really think of from an administrative standpoint, I probably have touched one way or another. And it's been incredible to meet the fascinating a number of people being a civil servant and seeing both sides of it, being ridiculed because I'm a state civil servant, and also at the same time how rewarding it is. But the thing that I really am here about is that I really want to help people become the best versions of themselves. So late 2022, I started a business called Your Speaking Voice, and it is an LLC, sole member, just me. And I opened the doors officially in January 2023, and since then, it's been a growth journey for me. And it's allowed me to find my voice in this ever-changing world, which is ironically enough the mission of what I try to accomplish. Because when we think about our voice, we think about what we're actually saying, what we're doing, what we are able to accomplish. But underneath all of that are really the actions, the things that back up what we say. And a lot of people, especially where I have viewed myself, which has been in a sort of rose-colored glass situation of not feeling like I was really authentic, not doing the work that I should have been doing for many years. Because one of the things that I've found to be really important when starting this is I want people to feel comfortable being able to be the best versions of themselves, which means examining what has been the bad versions of themselves, maybe the worst versions of themselves, and finding lessons so that they're able to grow and not only like a tree, but to be able to have strong roots to be that beautiful tree that's growing. So there's a lot of different ways in which I do that. The specialty that I do more than anything else is public speaking. And public speaking has so many dynamics that are involved. I've been working on my craft for over 12 years, more particularly through Toastmasters, which we talked about that. And from your audience, Toastmasters International is 100 years old. It's an organization that's a nonprofit geared towards communication, leadership development. But I've met so many incredible mentors, leaders, inspirational, thought provoking individuals that it led me to realize that I need to do something to also contribute to that pool of knowledge and helping others. So public speaking is one of the big things. I do a lot of other things, life coaching, business coaching. I have worked on people wanting to get to a new career. It's all about necessarily helping people find what they are looking for in life. So that's kind of a high level. I definitely think that I don't want to dig too much in the weeds and leave nothing for our conversation, but I think that for your audience, the one thing I would always say when you feel that there's no hope and that there's no way to get to one point to another is that I would challenge you on that because, and I'll leave this nugget, there have been times in my life growing up that I thought, I'm never going to make it. And that was even at 13 years of age, the youngest of like ages where you think that's not an age to think about being so sad and thinking that there's no hope. But if you think about it, there's a lot of people that start out with that age and they never get that addressed. So I want to say today, there is hope. And there's hope in anything that you might be going through and that you just got to get to the other side. And we could explore what I mean by that, but I want to leave that out there to start.
Well, you said you're gonna leave this nugget. I'm gonna pick that nugget up, and we're gonna keep going in. So, Joshua, so what we'll do here, let's see. You talked the things that caught me was like the element of the hope, and as well as like in order to look at like the best of you, it's important to also look at like the bad or the worst of you, right? And like if you're good to play this, I like to make these things real. All right, I want to know about like your journey. It's hard for me because I like we'll spend time in a very aspirational and inspirational space, so it's easier to say like the positive things that can be put on like I don't know, a cup or something, or like put on social media. I think it's harder for us to actually like see like, all right, so like given my life, given the stuff that's going around here, given what I got to navigate through, how do I make this real, especially for us as outliers out here where like we've lived like things that like most people wouldn't already like know about or have experienced, or like it's been, for some of us it's been easy, for some of us it's been a long hard road, and we're all still making up what's coming up from here. So I would love to, if you can, take us to a time where like you can go back to the 13-year-old you or such, but take us to a time where like you found yourself in a place where you didn't experience hope or you didn't think hope was available. And then let us know about like how you ended up like overcoming, how you brought that into the mix here. I'll be really curious about that.
That is a loaded question. Are you ready for the tidal wave that's going to come?
Yeah, and you know what? What I'll do along the way is I will chop through. I'll ask questions as it comes through. Like you share, and what I'll do is like I know generally where outliers are at, so I'll be asking some questions that continue to help like anchor what you're saying with that. So go ahead, just help me see here, and just and pick something that you feel would be really that's resonant for you. And let's dive on.
Well, that's actually a good way to start because let me ask you a question to actually open this up. And I'm going to direct it to you, actually, if you don't mind me doing so, turning the
Let's play.
table on this.
No worries.
Have you ever met someone growing up, especially even in school, that you thought and sat back and you said, hmm, this person, I feel like they got so much potential, but they just don't see what is happening around them. They don't realize what kind of gifts they have. Do you remember anybody like that growing up in school?
Yeah, like so I feel like the person I remember is a bit of me, right? I don't think I was aware of it, but like I think back, I'm like this, like I don't even know how it was. But like definitely not unfamiliar with it. Go on, tell me more.
Yeah, nice. That's good to know. So I want you to imagine, and I want even your audience to imagine that you're in this situation. You're thinking that this person just is rocking it, and they have no idea what's going on. Like they're doing a great job. They are going to be very successful. They've been voted as like most successful by their class. They are best in academics. They are doing all the things that you would expect. Well, that was me but on the other side. I was not the one that was saying, "Oh, that person's really great." I was that person that was being talked about. And the reason I say that is I lived in a bubble for over 20 some years before even getting 13 for that matter. So starting at 13, 20 years, getting to about 33 years of age. Went through middle school, high school, college, got 2 master's degrees after regular college, and I thought that I was doing great. I was leading this path that I thought everybody should be on. But there was something always missing in my life, and the thing that I was missing was not only awareness of what I was able to do, but also just being so hard on myself, thinking that I was never good enough. So imagine doing this. Imagine that you have all these people that are your friends, or even they are just kind of like snickering in the background, like, "Oh, Josh, well, he's so smart. Man, oh, I think that he needs to fail sometime." Like, having all that and people just being, like, in awe and envy of it, but at the same time, you're just completely unaware, and
Was that
I
like, let me ask you quick, was that like a real thing that was happening? Is it like an imaginary thing that was going on? I can't tell, like, but based on the way that you're saying
Yeah.
that, I can't tell. How was it?
Yeah, it was all about being, like, this imaginary world that I thought that I was doing all these things really well, but I really wasn't. I was sucking so bad.
Oh, whoa. All right. So that's actually even different than I thought. All right. So tell me here then. Take me take me to I want to know like how you came up with this. Like so one like you're going through life, things look like they're going really well. And then something came on where like the lights got turned on or something like that. And you're like, wait a minute, that's what I thought was happening, isn't it? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I thought that I think this happens a lot more in our society today, and I'm society talking about United States, where I feel that you're asked to do something, whether that's go get to have a great grade, like an A and everything that you need to do, be excellent in that so that you can go to college, go to the
Joshua, do me a
top
favor,
tier.
make this real. Make this real. Like
Yeah.
rather than like the
Yeah.
scenario, like tell me
Yeah.
about what happened for you. That would really help me out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the things that happened to me were from people that would come up to me and say, "Josh, like you're doing good things, and but yet you're so hard on yourself because I see you always working hard and thinking and not ever taking a break. Like, why are you not doing that?" And I would say, "Well, part of the problem that I have is that I don't know why have to keep working so hard. I just don't understand why I felt like I had this goal in my mind." See, you have to understand is that my parents, I thought that they would at least say to me like, "Hey, you're doing a good job," or "You're always doing, you can take a break now, like you've done everything you need to do." No, I really didn't have that in my life. Like my dad was not there for me because I would have thought that he would have been a great male figure for me. My mom, she was always worried about every single little thing that was happening. Whether that was, oh my God, you got to learn how to drive. Don't wreck the car. Like I remember that is driving a 1990 Dodge Spirit and like always being panicky about what I was going to do because she was not trusting me. So those sort of things led into this mindset of thinking I need to always be better, that I always needed to do X, Y, and Z to achieve something because I wasn't really given a great roadmap. So, although people were saying I was doing really well, doing really good, I didn't see that. That was not the version of myself that I saw. So, it made it so difficult for me to be able to conceptualize what success looked like.
Are you able to see that now? Are you able, like, I'm curious about that. And if so, I'm curious about like, because I think this shows up for us as outliers in different ways, where it's like we're just living our lives, you know. But at the same time, there's something that motivates us, that drives us. Sometimes it's the not enoughness. Sometimes it's worthiness. Sometimes for me, it's too muchness, right? It's an interesting way where it's like for a long time I was trapped in this like infinite loop, where it's just like I'm I felt I was so much that I wasn't enough, you know. So I'm curious about yeah, I'm curious about like it feels like you have the awareness now, but I want to just make sure I don't live in assumptions. And then secondly, I want to get into like, all right, a bit about like how did you uncover that and where did it take you from there?
Yeah. So as of today, absolutely. And are there still things after 20 some years of kind of digging myself into a hole that I'm still working on? Yes. And I'll give you an example to be tangible about it is my relationships with people, whether they were romantic, whether they are personal, whether they are professional. I know that I need a lot of work yet. And what I found even in last year, as I've been on this growth journey, is that I found out that I'm autistic, and that was why I was having so many problems with rationalizing this concept of success and trying to identify with it and have people acknowledge people in their presence with that. So what led me into all of that was that I set these high expectations for myself. So I'll give you another example as it relates to that. I always thought that if I were to get a great job or to try to impress somebody, that I had to kiss their ass. Pardon my French. Am I allowed to swear?
You already have, and
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
you, right? The
yeah. All
whole
right.
like this,
Yeah.
we gotta
Yes.
just gotta be with it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I had to kiss a lot of people's butts. I had to deal with not only
Be free, Joshua. We're good.
okay.
We ain't
All
gonna
right.
bleep it. We're just
Yeah.
just be free. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say, I felt like I had to kiss a lot of people's butts. I felt like I had to have this image in their head of I'm always going to be able to do what they ask me to do, and I can't be any short of the expectation that I'm setting for myself. I was I was putting these thoughts and these abstract things in my head of thinking like I have to do this to be successful. And I wasn't there. There was nothing there that said to me that I needed to do that. You know who was telling me that? This guy that you're looking at. And I'm pointing at myself for your audience that's not seeing this because I felt that every time that there was success, whether I was getting a job, right? So my first job in the Commonwealth is back in 2011, trying to be able to work in a management role. I felt like as a 20 something, I had to prove all these 50 and 60-year-olds something in the workforce. But I'll tell you, after how many years of doing that, after 10 years after I started, I had a breakdown because I always was trying to set that expectation. And the warning signs were there: chronic tiredness, depression. I remember sitting at my desk when I was working at doing procurement and budgeting one day where I completely froze at my desk. It was like a paralysis, if you will, because what was happening is all these things were coming down that I didn't have a great system of organizing. So I just froze and I couldn't do anything for over an hour. Like answer the phone, do like even check my phone for messages, whatever that was, I couldn't do anything. That was should have been some of the signs that I should have took a reality check, but I didn't. So, when I say earlier that there's hope on the other side of whatever you're going through, whether you're somebody that has gone through something like I have, there is, because I think so many people think that you need to do XYZ and meet someone's expectation, but you really don't. The expectation that you set in life is set by you, and you have total control of it. So if you're hard on yourself, that's not a good thing. If you're too easy on yourself, that's not a good thing. You need to find the right balance. And sometimes, which I sucked at doing, being able to talk to other people about it is so important. That's why I love doing coaching now and doing and helping others to find that opportunity, because some people are stuck in that mindset like I was.
It's funny to hear this in some regards because it's where you're taking me right now, Joshua, is a space. Let's just even say like with the podcast. I realized that like being able to have a someone to reflect things back to you deeply, honestly, truthfully, to hear yourself even talk it out, and see what comes out is immensely valuable. And at the same time, like knowing like being able to know what you are bringing out into the world is pretty difficult. Someone said to me once, said, "You've never been in a room without you." And I think it's like that. I think about that a lot in terms of like I never really know what's really going out into the world, or what like how people are actually receiving and what's actually important or not. So just take like I hear you with being able to create that space and be in conversation to get that reflection, to get that space together, to keep going and growing, especially as you're striving for what comes next. So tell me now, like, all right, so you've gone through this here. Tell me about what life is like for you now, and what you're working towards.
Yeah, I'm excited about what I'm working towards. One of the things that I really love doing, and I share your love for what you're doing here in your podcast, is that I also have a podcast of my own called Speaking from the Heart. And what's been rewarding about doing that is it's allowing me to be authentic in in conversations that I have about a variety of different personal and professional development topics, but get to meet people from all walks of life of how they achieved greatness, like, how are they able to get from point A to point B? So we try to dig deep into a variety of different subject matters. I've had people that have talked about sexual abuse, drug use, whether they've been through depression, suicide, any of those sort of topics. It's been kind of eye-opening in a way to see the world in a different set of lenses from their perspectives, so that it allows me to understand, and my audience, that they're not alone in this. Because I think the biggest thing that we suffer from is loneliness in this world. And I have to give a quick shout out to a nonprofit that does this. It's two guys that I've known for many years. I interned with them when I did my second master's. They're Tom Caden and Michael Gingrich, and they are the co-founders of Someone to Tell It To, right here in the Harrisburg area, Pennsylvania. And they're working on that. But I have found that their work translates indirectly into what I try to do too, which is trying to listen, trying to intently listen to what they have going on, them being the people that I work with through the show or even through my podcast. Excuse me, through my coaching business, and allow me to see a different perspective and allow my audience to know there's a roadmap that you can follow. So there's that aspect of it, but it's also being able to become a professional speaker, which is what I really want to do. I want to share my message of what I have been through, not just in growing up, but because bullying and even in adult age, going through life can be challenging, especially being neurodivergent, as I've learned in the last few years. But more importantly, I have been through a lot of trouble to get to this point, which that includes some run-ins with the law when I was in my teenage years, which is something of uncharacteristic of me. But being locked up for 72 hours in a mental institution because I lost everything in terms of my grip to reality really opened my eyes to the fact that we need to also open our eyes to what's around us. So my mission, albeit that I want people to realize that they have something of a gift to give to this world, I want to help them find that too. So there's really a duality when we talk about not only the things that are going on in people's lives, we're also talking about how to live as on the fringe, essentially not living in a safe place, but living on the fringe so that we have the balance between being safe, but also growing too. And that's the life that I'm really trying to lead.
So what do you think has made like the biggest difference for you? And like I have a whole thing about like, like what has made a world of difference for you as you've been building out this part of your world?
Yeah, it's interesting because one day I hope to quit my full-time job and go into what I'm doing part-time and making that full-time. And what's been so amazing about this is that first off, any business, whatever, regardless of what anybody tells you, even somebody that pay to be an executive business coach for you, it all starts with your friends. It starts with the people that you surround yourself with. And it's funny because just the other day, I was listening to one of my former guests that were on the show, and they had something up on their Facebook. And I feel like part of this, that when we talk about it, also resonates with it too. She said, and I'll quote her, her name's Lorraine Michaels. She owns Bold Beginnings. She said this, is that it's the 5 or 10 people that you surround yourself with that will make up who you are. Who you are. It isn't what they are, it's who you are. So if they are in the bad path, you're going to be in the bad path. If they're on the good path, whether that is whatever you think is good or bad, you're going to be on that good or bad path. I can tell you for a fact that the bad people I surrounded myself with are the people that often told me, you're not good enough. You're not doing the best. You are going to fail. And it's funny because those voices were from maybe 10, 15 years ago, but those are the things that I held on to. So those were the 5 or 10 people. Today, I sit myself around people that not only help me and realize that I have value, but that I also have value to give them. It's so easy for us to get wrapped up like I do right now to try to say, I have value. I almost feel like an imposter sitting here and telling you this, that I am not worthy of coaching other people. But then I have to turn around in my office and just look at what I have behind me, which not only consists of, and you see some of it, there's a couple of degrees behind me, but there's also a picture of an elephant. And the elephant signifies not only nobility and being that it's one of the strongest mammals outside of, what we have capabilities as humans, but that I'm can be a tenacious, strong elephant that's able to transverse any sort of situation. So that's a big part of it.
I appreciate it. Like this is there's an element to this that just like continues to go through. I love that like the elephant like picture and how like it continues to remind you of who you are and how things go. Joshua, we're in a good place here. What I like to do is like make sure that people who want to do 2 things. One, if you have like an outside or a takeaway that you would love for anyone who's listening right now to be able to walk away with, and especially any of those outliers that maybe in a place of, well, I'll just leave it at that. Like, what would be the message or takeaway you'd like to leave for them?
I think one of the most important things to take away from just what we're talking about is you don't have to think that it's always got to be this way. So if you're like around the ages of like 25, 30, 35, and you're thinking, I'm going to be stuck in what I'm doing for the rest of my life, that's not true. You have so much time in this world to be able to do what you want to do in your life. I feel like some people just throw in the towel because they think that, oh, I have kids, which I don't, but they have kids, they have responsibilities, they need to have a stable income. You can start working on it part time. You can start building up yourself. If you have that fire that you have in yourself that maybe has been suppressed for so long, like it has been for me, I want you to know that it's not the end of the world. You have that ability to get to the other side. And even people that I have literally clients today that are 50 to 60 years of age and they're reinventing their lives. That means that even on the other side of the coin, you can be able to take things to grow and prosper any way that you want. You don't have to be held back from your childhood or held back in your young adulthood like I was. You have every opportunity to step out of your comfort zone if you're just willing to accept that you have that ability to do so. So that's really not easy for many people to swallow. I've had people that have walked away from me because they realize that that's a lot of hard work. But at the same time, I'm willing to be authentic and I'm willing to be real and truthful about it. If you're willing to do the same in your own life and work with somebody or even just work with someone that cares and loves about you and loves you for who you are, you're going to be able to do so much in your life that you have never thought possible. So that's my takeaway.
I appreciate it there, Joshua. Let's make sure that people know how they can continue to go down like your world. So if they want to continue down the journey with you, if they want to work with you in some way, shape, or form, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for allowing me to share that. So, my website is www.yourspeakingvoice.biz. I am located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is about the south central part of Pennsylvania. If you're in the area, you're more than welcome to come visit me in my office, set up a time, or I even do Zoom appointments. So I'm willing to work with any time zone and I have lots of flexibility. But to start your journey, I have a variety of different services I offer. If there's something that's not listed, you can certainly set up a time to talk about what your need is. It's under the schedule tab that you could set up something with me. I do my first consultations for free. Unlike other coaches, I go for about an hour. And the reason for that is not only do I talk about my process, but I want to get to know you a little bit and also have a chat about or whether we're a good fit or not. So that's how you can start your journey. It has a lot of great information, has the podcast on there as well. So if you're willing to reach out, you can certainly start with the website, which has even my phone number and where you can reach me.
Awesome. And then let's do this thing here. I want to wrap up with the question I ask everyone on here, which is what I call the time capsule. If you had to leave a message for yourself that was put into a time capsule for you to go and like open up again, like 10, 15 years from now, right? What's the wisdom that you would want to like remind yourself of that your future self might like just need to hear?
Wow. I don't think I've ever been asked that question yet. And that's such a good one. I would say to myself that is in the future listening to this now that you've come so far. You are so great. You have the fire inside of you that you have started this and you've kept with it. Keep going and keep helping others. Don't lose the spark that allowed you to help other people realize that they have a voice in this world. That's what I would leave it at.
Well, then that's where we're going to leave it at. Joshua, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending your time. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for just being here and for continuing to show up for yourself and for others here. I appreciate you. Thanks for bringing your outlier to the game and really excited for everything that comes from here.
Thanks so much, Niiamah. I really appreciate your time. I
Most
appreciate your
definitely.
listeners.